Hey folks, and welcome back to another module. And in this one will be reasonably short as well. But I thought it was pertinent. I want to run through some of the people that you're going to need as a definite, and some of the people that you may need to have on standby when you are commencing your pursuit of running your own consultancy. And I'm also going to look at some people that you need to be wary of as well. So with all that said, let's jump in and start. So people you need. Yeah, we've got that. So that's all good. Now, this is a guide. Be super sure to research for your own location as to any specific needs for professionals that are needed to help you comply with any legal or regulatory requirements in your particular area. So the first one, which really is the most essential, is a bank for your business account, without which you cannot pay anyone, and more importantly, you cannot be paid. Now, I'll leave it up to you as to which bank you wish to engage with. Again, it's going to depend on location. My experience of banks in this location is that they are all as bad as one another. However, you may have your preference. When I started my business, I just engaged with the same bank that I used for my personal accounts. It kind of made sense because they knew me, they knew my history, and it was relatively straightforward. When I started my business, I wasn't asking for anything. I wasn't asking for any loans. I wasn't asking for an overdraft. So it was really just a rubber stamping exercise. Your situation may be different. I don't know your financial or your credit issues, if any. So have a conversation with the bank. There should not really be any restrictions to you opening an account, but there may be restrictions on how you're able to run the account depending on your track record of finances, and I can't speak for that, only you will know all about that. So the next one really that is just as essential in my view as a bank is an accountant stroke bookkeeper. Now, I think I've spoken previously. I have a fairly strong perspective on this. My perspective is that you should, if financially possible, always employ an accountant, not a bookkeeper. Not to say that anything is bad about bookkeepers, but you're running a business and there's going to be things that you need to be done in the correct way. You need the correct advice, and bookkeepers, as the name suggests, they're good at what they do, but there's a certain limitation, and when you're running a business, you want to go beyond that limitation potentially. So there are still a number of providers that operate more particularly for smaller businesses, which you will be when you're starting out as a solo consultant, and that is their speciality. So here in New Zealand, we have small business accounting, which, as the name suggests, is a specialist accounting franchise actually that only specializes in small businesses, and their price point is reflected. So you do not have to necessarily place all of the work with the accountant. You can choose to do some of it yourself and then just get them to peer review it effectively or do certain components. For me, I used automated software to do like all my entries. It was a very easy piece, or is a very easy piece of software to use. You create your invoices within it, you add all your expenses, and it kind of self-generates things like profit and loss and GST returns, which are the tax returns on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, and you can actually produce your end of year accounts as well. But I always use an accountant to validate and check at the end of the year and submit all the necessary paperwork to the authorities here just to make sure that it was an independent set of eyes complying with all the legal regulatory requirements. Okay, so that is the most important part, because you do not want to go foul of your local or global countrywide rules, or rules that are applying to a particular county, state, etc. So go and speak to an accountant, get their perspective on what is the best service for you. Speak to a few, don't just take the first price, consider it like a tendering process, but also concentrate on the value that you're going to get as well, not just on the price. Now, the next one I put question mark. Anyway, you see a question mark, it's not a necessity. I've spoken about admin. I've separated it out, the admin in the previous one, because I felt that commanded more of a conversation. So that's just really something in the previous module that is more detailed that you need to consider. I'm not saying it's a no, but it should be something that you have as you grow. And for the reasons that I've stated in the previous module, you need to be really careful about who you get in to do that particular work for you. Now, another one is a lawyer. And what I've said is on the books. And why, what I mean by that is that, you're not going to be engaging a lawyer like every month or whatever, but you do need to have someone, go and have a conversation with them. Normally lawyers, here anyway, I don't know, again, in your location, but you can go and have a chat with a lawyer, explain what you want, explain what you're all about. Like, I'm going to go and start, I'm just starting a company. I want someone on board who can advise me on issues if and when they arise. And they will probably just add you as a client in their database. They will give you a letter that says, thank you for, trusting us with XYZ, and we understand that you may wish to use us, and by the way, currently these are our charges and these are our terms of engagement and the rules of the game, essentially. And then you're on their book, so that if you get into a situation where you need a lawyer for whatever reason, and there's many as a business that can manifest themselves as to why you would need to go and get legal advice. Some are complex, some are minor, but you need someone available to go and take a second opinion if anything is surfacing from a legal perspective. Don't let it fester. Okay, make sure that you have professional indemnity insurance. Make sure you have all your local and national insurances that are required by law in place. And just have this person, hopefully you will never need them, but from experience I know that at some point in your business you will, whether it's an employee issue, whether it's a client issue, or anything in between. You need to have someone who can advise you on that. Okay, the next one is website. Kind of touched briefly on that one in the admin tasks module as well. Excuse me. And this is here only because, if you don't want to do it yourself and you're going to outsource it, then it's people that you need and that you need to employ. Do your due diligence around it. Search people in your area, or in a reasonable sort of distance of your location, and check their previous work. Make sure that you're happy. If necessary, send them an email, contact them. Don't go with people that contact you. You want to be driving this process. Look at the work. Generally, most people who are doing websites have case studies on their sites. You can look at what they've done. Do you like the feel of what their design looks like and everything else? And when you're comfortable with that, reach out, have a chat, and say, look, this is what I'm all about. You won't need a sophisticated, complex website. It could even just be one page. It just needs to cover what you're about, what your services are, who you are, and what your experience is, basically. Why are you qualified to serve the people that you will be contacting? Keep it simple. It's a presence only. It's not going to be the vehicle that floods you with work. We've spoken in marketing how you go and get your consultancy in front of the right eyes. So it's merely a presence, it's a placeholder, because it's an expectation that you should have a website if you're running a business. Now, PR assistance, again, with a question mark. I do not expect you within your first 12 months of trading to really need this, unless you are really getting super fixated on your brand, which is a good thing. But bear in mind that PR assistance does come at a price, so you really want to try and master as much of that as physically possible. And then another one that's not a question mark: from day one, you want to start building relationships with other self-employed QSs. And the reason I'm saying that is because when you need help, which you will if you're going to grow, then it's essential that you have a ready supply of trusted individuals that you can go to straight away. The last thing that you want is have a client reach out and you know that you're going to be under pressure, and then you become desperate to find a QS, because you will end up with someone that is not necessarily going to be serving your best interests. So do that homework right from the beginning. Don't promise them anything, but get them on board, interview them, look at the work that they've done, take references, all of those basic commonsensical things, and keep them on a database. And understand their terms and conditions, understand how flexible they are around work, understand what their commitment is. Are they fully loaded? Can you speak to other people that have used them in the past, all of these things? And if they look as if they're going to be a good fit to work with you, or vice versa, actually, then build those relationships from the outset. Now, the next one, I've put finance broker, but this also covers the space of insurance as well. Generally, organizations will provide both functions out of the same brokerage house. And I put if you need loans, but it's also for your insurances. Now, the reason I'm suggesting a broker, you can go online if your location has the capacity to provide that service, but if not, a broker is a good second, because generally it's not costing you any money to use them. Brokers earn their money by the commissions they earn from the people who have just been who are providing the service to you. So if you go and get a loan from Bank A will pay the broker a commission for doing that. Okay, it's at no additional cost to you. So that's the good thing about that. So that's just an overview of what I think are going to be the most important people. You may think of more based on your own location or your own requirements, because you've decided to go into something that is a bit more detailed in one way or another, a different avenue. That's absolutely fine. This just gives you an idea of where you need to be starting. And I've also put together, which I think is equally important as well, people that you need to be wary of. Now, the two main triggers are SEO specialists and website designs. Now, there's nothing wrong with either of those services, I have to say. I'm not finger pointing to any of those services at all. What I am cautioning you about is the quality of the services of some of the companies or individuals that may be reaching out to you. Now, my experience in the SEO space, and this is something that I know a lot about personally, is that the vast majority of the people who are providing this service really are not experienced enough to be able to provide that service. It's a very, very low barrier to entry, as is web design, and it tends to get flooded with people that are really not specialists in anything. They will take on any work just to get some cash. So you'll find that they're generally into all manner of things, and jack of all trade and master of none. So, does SEO work? Yes, it does, if it's done correctly, but if it's done correctly, it's going to cost you a lot of money. So, if someone comes in and says that they can get you to the first page of Google for $100 a month, run a mile. Because a pure SEO specialist will never guarantee you a first page ranking. period, and the price is more likely to start with a 5 in front of it and be a 4-digit number on a monthly basis. So with that said, do you need SEO? It would be nice, but if you follow all of the high-level tips that I provided in the marketing strategy, you do not need to have SEO as your main focus on marketing. And particularly if you're going to be focusing on a local market, it's much more pertinent to be more concerned about local SEO than it is to be worried about SEO of your website on a SERP basis, which is the search engine results page, i.e. being on Google page number 1, for example. So give that some consideration. The same with web designs. You'll notice in the previous slide I've suggested that you have to control. You go out and you do your own homework. You should be in the driving seat. You should not be a passenger having to listen to people sell you on why you should have their website design or SEO service. Just my experience, and it's something to be aware of, because people that are very, very good at doing websites and SEO services generally don't engage in that type of marketing, period. They are generally sought after, and they don't have to chase people. People chase them. And on that point, that's exactly the kind of mechanism that you want for your business. You want people chasing you, not the other way around eventually, but that won't happen overnight. And the only other one to caution you about is that cold outreaches. Now, once you, in whatever location you're in, generally this is my experience, when you form your legal entity, you will start to get, depends again on your location as to how many you get, but you will start to get unsolicited like pitches, emails, maybe even phone calls from companies that use public information of all the information that you provide to start your legal entity. So they're going to have your personal name, possibly your address, your email, other contact details, because it's generally available on publicly available documents, web or other mechanisms, or those individuals pay for subscriptions to companies that are extracting that information by whatever mechanism, and they use that for cold email or cold outreach marketing. Now, for them, it's a numbers game. They fully accept that if they reach out to 1 million people, they'll get some clients, and it's purely numbers. It is not high quality, generally, in my experience. Anyone doing this cold outreach on scale, I know I've gone and suggested that it's a good way for you to do business, but I have not talked about it at scale. I've talked about it on an individual basis, and I've been very particular about clarifying the personality touch, the personality trait that you have to attach to cold outreach. Cold outreach works, but it does not work when you're doing cold outreach at scale. It's on the border of spamming, and there are a lot of people that are actually just spammers looking for work. They're not integral service providers at all. So just to caution you that you will be receiving that type of solicitation when you form your legal entity, no matter where you are in the world. Now, finally, if you need something or someone that hasn't been on the list that I've talked about, that's absolutely fine. Do your own research. For the reasons that I've stated above, you do your own research, you go, you find, you explore, you check them out, you get references, all of those type of things to make sure that they're going to be the right type of person to represent you and your business. So with all that said, I'm going to wrap this one up now, and I'll see you in the next one.